Josiah, come back. And I'm holding him up and just like, here's the lion. It's a majestic creature. They're the king of the jungle. They're so cool. Yeah. And his little 2-year-old way, he started to pace. And I was like frustrated. And he said, can we go see the geese now? And I was like, oh man, okay, fine. We go to the geese. And we come back the next week. And me and my wife thought, we'll get smart. We're going to get a zoo pass. So we'll come here all the time. And I'll get my son to love the lions. So we come back week after week after week. And the same thing would happen. We go to the encagement where the lion was. And the lion was sleeping. And we're like, oh. Or else if it wasn't sleeping, it was just kind of dozing around. And it had its big mane and a big, huge gut. And the lioness was the same. And they were just kind of like taking it all in. And I was like, oh. And Josiah kept on asking to go to see the geese. And I was like, why do you want to go see the geese? The geese are free. They come here every single year. They fly in. You don't even have to, the zoo doesn't even like pay to have them. They fly to the States, come back every year. It's all good. But he loved it because they chased him. Because they were interesting. And I was like, oh. But the lion, you need to see the lion. Until one day, I brought him to the zoo. And as a dad, this really frustrated me. Because that day, I realized that the only reason why my son actually even knew that the lion said roar was because I told him so. He had never heard the actual roar of a lion. And I really got bothered by this. And it's got me to think about life and about how we actually become like a tame lion in life sometimes, yeah? We become like that lion that was all excited and prancing around and ripping apart the meat and rolling around with the other lions that are inside the cage. And you're just like, you don't know any better. And then you get delivered all the needs and the necessities and the provisions and medical attention, and you have this nice little place to go when it rains. You're good. And all of a sudden, you become almost domesticated. So who might be able to relate just even a tiny bit about this, yeah? Okay. Well, society can domesticate us. Ideas can. Friends, even family. So you're really reactionary in this part. But then there's also the limbic system. And the limbic part of your brain, oh man, this is really cool because this is like the filing cabinet. This stores up all that information from all the different past things. And we talked a little bit earlier about templates. Empathy is a wonderful thing because we can empathize with others. We can connect and we can relate with others. We can have that heart part. We can put ourselves in other people's shoes. But here's the thing about movies. Have you ever been to a movie where you really got into that character? Yeah? Okay? You ever been to that movie? It's like you can imagine yourself as that person. And you feel the way that you imagine they were feeling. And you feel how they were broken up with. And how they chased their partner back and it didn't work out or something like that. And you're recognizing things in your own life that are happening as a result of what's happening in that story. Or maybe it's a fantasy story where you're imagining yourself, you're just in that zone of imagining yourself as that hero of some kind. You're just like in that entertainment zone. But the problem with the limbic system is it actually doesn't know the difference between fantasy and reality. So if we just hang out in that limbic mind, there's a bit of a problem there. So a little bit later, we're going to do a roar together. I'm just going to set you up. We're going to get into the limbic mind. We're going to do the roar. But there's also going to be another part of your brain that's going to connect with that. Hey, I want to tell you about one template, limbic template, that I see. Every time that I see that dog there, a Sheltie dog, I actually bring myself back to my dog when I was a child. But you're stuck there, inside this cage. Just identify with some of the areas, that are in the cage. Perhaps some of the frustration, some of the feelings that come up for you about just the ickiness of the cage. Identify with what it has cost you to stay there. And then just recognize, you know what, there's a way out of this. Reach in your pocket, and in your pocket, as you put your hand in and pull out something, you recognize that there's a key in your hand. And in fact, that key has always been there. There's always been a key for you. There's always been a key for you since birth to have this wild lion, to awaken this wild lion that's within you. You don't have to stay inside of that closed-in home. Even though provisions and everything that you needed was taken care of you, as you look at those windows, you might see a wild pasture out there. You might see wild paths. You might see a journey